Hello everyone and welcome for another episode of War Review. I'm sorry it's been a while. I just recently came back from El Salvador. It took a little bit to get settled in and all that, but I've been streaming again and we're going to do a War Review. So before I start, I'd like to say get well soon, Mr. Free to Play. He is still in the hospital and the current update is that he is getting better, but not out yet with COVID. So anyway, let's get into this. We start off with our hero who lost to AIM. I don't even remember screenshotting this, to be honest. I really don't. Somebody must have sent this to me too. But as you can see, my Marauders suck. Your Marauder team is only as good as your Strife, and this is like a pathetically weak Strife. So yeah, I mean, I kind of wish he hadn't G15 his abomination, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I know right now Holy Knight is like nodding in approval. He doesn't know why, but yeah, I guess congratulations. And next, was somebody on my team with a fail, so I had to blank out their name. But these are one of those teams where I'm like, wait, so I guess we attacked here. So he punched down the 100k with his like villain tech plus Namor team. Now, here's the thing, guys, that the majority of the teams that are used to counter this one back in the day involve some form of Ultron. So, Supernatural Ultron, Fantastic Four Ultron, Power Armor Ultron, Wave 1 Avengers Ultron, X-Men Ultron, like it always was Ultron. You want to get the train going, and then you can wreck Hut, right? The problem is that he like dissected his like Sinister Six team. And like Ghost, I mean, Ghost is better on defense. She's not quite that good offensively, right? Her extending the debuffs, well, she's going to cleanse them anyway, right? Not too sure what he thought was going to happen, but what I would have told him would have happened. So yeah, please don't do this. Even with this pathetically weak Strife. Not as pathetic as the last one we just saw. Gotta stop saying pathetic. What do we have next? Our fearless leader, Pita Chip. This is on defense. So they punch down, a slight punch down, almost a punch across, with Axemen. And these guys are pretty well built up, very rounded, I might say. Looks like a 7R Jubilee, which is good. She packs a punch. But the fact that Doom is alive, well, now you gotta use like a full good team to take them out. And like, I don't know. Using Axemen and Silver and Black Bolt to take out Doom, I don't think is like a victory. Like he's like, oh, good game, noobs. It's like, no, that was poor play indeed. And our fearless leader again. So yeah, this is hard to like bully this person for this, right? Looking at the ISOs, they look to be correct. It's just like this is showing like the strength of this team. I mean, like this is almost a 200k punch down, and sometimes it's going so well that this has happened to me, where I take out like Luke Cage, and then I'm like, this is easy, and then all of a sudden he gets his ult off with offense up, and it just like wrecks everyone. So yeah, it's not over until it's over, is all I'm trying to say. All right, so starting from the bottom, these two were already dead, so they got to do a cleanup, right? So X Factor plus Zemo. Here's the thing. X Factor doesn't have a fifth. I get it. Zemo works out here, right? But look, guys. Going from G11 to 12 is 2.5 stats increase. And going from 12 to 13 is another 2.5. Going from 13 to 14 is a huge difference. So, like, at this level of play, like, these 13s up against these 14s and 15s, oh, I mean, he's only 13. They're going to be hitting, like wet paper bags. Like, there's no strength to these guys at all. And so even though it's 380, this isn't a punch down. Like, come on. He's like half the size of Shang-Chi. How are they effectively going to do any damage? They're not. So this was doomed to fail before it even started. And then this is when you get into these weird problems where you have to do a cleanup and you don't want to overcommit. But then like, what the hell was this? Come on, guys. Like, okay, using Kestrel, that's fine. You accept you got to use it, and you figure, well, Fury works well with her because he makes minions, and then, well, he works well with him, but like, and then, why Magneto? Like now you got a useless Brotherhood team that you can't use, and like, what did he add to this team? Like he didn't, like he brought them all together. so her like special would hit them all. It would have hit them all anyway. It's just when you make up your own teams, honestly guys, unless you know what you're doing, it's not gonna work. Like, just stick with the default made teams and like have a good reason for it. Like, I would love to talk to this player and ask him and be like, what was your logic? I want to hear it, because he'll probably say, oh, I thought he would work, or I don't know, I've done it before, like some kind of like passive aggressive comeback. But yeah, no, pathetic attack. So this to me was kind of interesting, right? Because these aren't, I wouldn't say this is the newest meta. They've been around for a while, but if you can see, Snide has built up his PETA chip, his Kestrel, which is smart, and he's got a big cap Sam. These two ladies are not really built up, and I'm not judging them for that, right? There's a lot of juggling, a lot of deciding to do. Plus, this is, to be honest, this is a bit of an older footage, so I'm sure by now he's built up these people. We're doing Doom 2.0. But then he figured he's going to take this team. Okay, so you got these three. I get it, right? Peanut butter and jelly. They got to go together. All right, so he's got Ghost Rider. This is kind of interesting, actually. If he has his passive at 4, not even with a T4, he will give extra focus to Mystic allies. So that is kind of interesting, right? And the fact remains that Supernatural, it really doesn't do much these days, right? With Hela, you can use him against Wave 1 Avengers. And it doesn't look like he built them up very much, given that these two are so small, right? So that was kind of interesting. I'm not too sure what Mordo is doing here, though. Offhand, I'm not suggesting you dissect your Supernatural team to put something together here, but like, wouldn't Scarlet Witch do better? She could extend all these debuffs, right? And she's got some heal spread. Like, I don't. He can do some heal block, but at 49k, nothing he's gonna do is gonna stick. Maybe on these two ladies. But yeah, I don't know. So I don't really know. This is basically a 3v3, he figured. But these two ladies are quite deadly even at small numbers. Meanwhile, Mordo and Ghost Rider are useless at small levels, except for that 30% focus. So yeah, like I said, don't try to make up your own teams unless you really know what you're doing. Round 2. So this is an interesting team to use because Red Skull came out, and this guy probably has like a 7R Red Skull that he built up, right? And back in the day when these guys first came out, they were such a pain to defeat. You had to, usually it was a 2-tap, sometimes 3, right? And then all of a sudden Inhumanes came out, and then there was just roll credits. You can punch up 200k no problem, 250, 300k, and this is back before you had like million size teams, right? Like the biggest you would see on defense would be like 600, 700, right? Before G15s and all these ISOs and all that. So anyway, what I'm trying to say here is that a lot of people use Red Skull offensively. If these guys die, Red Skull will revive them, so you can kind of keep it going, right? Zemo is still really good, but then this falls into the same problem we were talking about earlier. 68k, 70k, 66k. How are they going to do any damage to Kestrel or Sam or even Fury? I mean, I'm glad your Red Skull is so big, but he doesn't really, like, he himself doesn't do much damage. So like, no, like if these were 600 or 700k, maybe they'd get a win. But like, you shouldn't be using a team like this against a team like this. So here's the problem with these teams on defense, right? A lot of people are still running similar teams like this. Minerva can be dropped into other teams, so I don't think she necessarily needs to stay here. The issue here is that this is 474k. So what are you going to use against this? Right? You're going to use your Brotherhood, right? And punch down or punch across, right? You'd rather save it for another team. You're going to use your X Factor? Well, I'm sure most alliances at P2 don't have 300k X Factor sitting around waiting to punch up, right? So you kind of got to waste a good team to take this out. And Templar, well, I'd hardly call this a good team, but you know what? Look at this. He's got these two prepared for Weapon X. I'm guessing that he probably brought him to Dark Dimension 3, which is a lot of people did because he's cheap to gear up. So that's why he's at G14. He probably built up Winter Soldier in preparation for Omega Red, which is why he has these two being built up. Namor is a great 5th that kind of gets slotted into anywhere. And Shocker, well, I'm judging since it's 105k and it's G12, he probably has high red stars on him. So maybe he had him built up at a certain level and all of a sudden, bam, now he's 100k and he's like, you know what, I'll just slap these guys together and he got a win. So I'm not telling you guys to go out and make this team, but to me, this is a good use of resources where he prevented us from having to waste our X Factor or our PIM or some other good team that could be used to counter something a bit more effectively. So good job, Templar. All right, we are going to switch this up and put in another gear. This comes from another streamer named CopenhagenKJ, who I will put his link in the description below. I hope you check him out. I've only managed to catch him once, but it was a good time. Very responsive to his Twitch chat and seemed very knowledgeable about the game. He also prides himself in being in this position where he's not quite like a brand new player who just started. He's not an end game like doing Doom 2.2 at the max stuff. So he fills in a different niche. I'd say he's closer to end game than beginning game, but he's very humble. So anyway, he provides advice for players who don't typically spend a lot of money but aren't necessarily at the end of the game. So very interesting person, very friendly person, and he showed me this is somebody's war defense that he showed on stream, and it pained me in many levels. Let's go over it one by one. So first off, defenders. Looks like he's running skill military, so he put shield medic. Now, I don't understand how he's not running Shadowlands. Even a 300k Shadowlands, especially with this built-up Daredevil, actually works pretty well, right? You can use it on a lot of different teams. They punch up really well. So to me, it's a waste to have him here. I don't understand why he doesn't have even a small, like a 30k, I was gonna say Pam Grier. What the hell is her name? A 30k Misty Knight and a 30k Colleen Wing. All of a sudden now you gotta take this team a little bit more serious, even though they're still gonna be pretty easy to beat. But like, really, like you look at this team, why is his Iron Fist so tiny? As well as Jessica Jones. Doesn't even have her at 7-star, I might point out, or his Iron Fist, but he built up Luke Cage. Like, I guess this is a favorite character, who's also a striker, by the way. Healer, striker, skirmisher. Well, at least he thought to put one skirmisher. We should be grateful for that. Next over, he's got Hydra on defense, which, fine. There's no point, though. This is so easy to counter. Not the worst of his teams, pathetically. Like this one here, Asgardians, plus aim. I guess he uses Thor with Wave 1 Avengers, but what is this? What does this do to help? Like, put Drax like a normal person, like God intended. Honestly, if he had Kingpin here, I'd forgive it a little bit more than this, like, what's this, AIM scientist? Moving on. So he's clearly not running symbiotes. He doesn't use them with Doc Ock, that's fine. That's fine. Pym, well, a lot of people are using Ghost and just her with other teams, so okay, but then like Quake, like just the more I look at this team, like I just don't understand. Like he's Platinum 1. These guys aren't tiny people. They're in the millions of TCP, right? He took the time to invest in all of these, which by the way, guys, I keep telling you, don't just gear 13 all your characters. You're giving yourself such a tiny little stat bonus, and then you don't have enough resources to gear up everyone else. So that's another big thing he's doing. This guy seems to love Striker. Look at that, 4 Strikers, 1 Raider. Good thing he's got Striker on the Shuri. You know, I love her double taps. And he maxed her ISO out too with her Striker. I don't understand this. He could have, if he's using Ghost with the other ones, but he bothered to build up his Ant-Man, why aren't the rest of the Ant-Man people here? Right? Put on the like Yellow Jacket here, or Wasp. Like I don't understand this one. And it gets worse. It's worse before it gets better. Do you see what I mean? Like, honestly, putting Ant-Man and Wasp together would have benefited. And then Quake and Yo-Yo together, right? Like, it seems like he just kind of threw everything together. Like, just kept clicking. Like, you have the defense options, and he just kept clicking just to fill them up with whatever. Because, like, I don't see any synergy here at all. Over here, at least he managed to keep these two guys together. I don't know why they're both G14, and then he didn't bother to build up the rest of X-Force. These are the kind of questions that I have for this player, right? Undoubtedly, it's the ladies that carry X-Force. I got a 6-star Deadpool, and it sucks because it doesn't do that much, right? He's basically there to die, to tank some hits, but Domino with the invisible taunt will always do it. Right, so you want to have X-23 built up, and you want to have Negasonic built up, so they do all the damage. So he's got these both that, you know, they're pretty big, but where are the ladies? Why is Emma here, not with the Marauders? Why is Storm here at such a low level? Why is his Emma so low with Striker? Everyone's got Striker. Is this a theme? Everyone has Striker except for like a Raider, and he's like, oh, I guess she'll go Skirmisher. I don't understand. So he's not running Brotherhood, apparently. All right, moving on. I can forgive him not building up his Guardians. I don't know when this player started the game. I know for myself, BKT was a meta for the longest time, the best Crete team. So that's why a lot of us have them built up. I use them for Dark Dimension 2 as well. Basically that team, not the exact though. I can forgive these not being built up, right? Gamora, well, I appreciate that he built her up, right? You know, Infinity Watch and stuff. Nebula, I mean, they at least have some synergy. So this isn't the worst of the teams, actually. And to be fair, the good thing about a team like this is that I can see somebody being like, oh, I'll just throw my 300k Supernatural on this and then get wrecked by this Gamora. I wish he G14'd her, if not G15'd her. You can use her in Doom Raids, right? She's pretty good at kind of fitting in there, but, you know, at least. But I really doubt that this player had that much forethought when you look at the other teams. Then he's got Hand. So his G13 Hand Archer and Electra. And notice he's not running Supernatural, so he just like decided on his own to build up Electra for whatever reason. Like, so Hand Archer has like this neat special because minions run of ults that it has increased focus to get rid of like even Thanos' taunt, for example. But that's why you keep seeing these guys on defense, or sorry, on the enemy team on raids. So they control you like that, not because the player is supposed to use them. And like, okay, 6R Nobu, that happens. But why? No one made you build them up. And you know, you can argue, he can say, well, I built them up for Phoenix and then I pulled the 6R. Okay, all right, that happens. That happens. But why did you put him to ISO 4? Like the Phoenix unlock event came out before ISO existed. So you wouldn't need to do this, right? Like, this is like with unlocking Fury. You could probably do it with like 40k all Kree, like 7R, right? You don't have to build them up like we did back in the day when, you know, red stars weren't a thing and there was no ISOs, there was no G14, like no red star rework, like all that stuff that makes it easier for you guys to be able to do it now. And then he didn't even bother putting the oh, that's this asshole beside him, but neither did he put the last two teams on defense. So who knows when was the last time he took a look at his defense. Hopefully after this he does. So we are going to stop right there, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Always fun to have you guys here laughing with me at some of these failed attacks. I am currently streaming right now, basically Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. My work schedule is going to change, and then I'm going to have to figure out a different schedule. But for now, 7 p.m. Pacific time is usually when I am on. I am streaming Darkest Dungeon right now as well. I call it the waifuiest dungeon, where we basically reskinned everybody to be a waifu. So that's being done as well, in addition to my Marvel Strike Force stuff. So yes, thank you guys for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good night.